Coming up on Mountain News this morning, people are mourning a former mayor of Corbin who dedicated his work to helping those who needed it most. In the Floyd County Sheriff's Department, deputies need your help identifying a man accused of stealing a catalytic converter. Plus, a Kentucky man faces charges related to several burglaries, but his mother says she doesn't want others to judge him because he suffers from mental illness.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. The time is 6:02 on Monday, January 6th. I'm Addison Pergram, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning. If you're just waking up and maybe going back to school, getting to the bus stop, or going to work for the first time in a little bit, let's go to Brandon Robinson. It's a little chilly out there, so pack your coat, maybe a little toboggan.
Yes, and
you've had your toboggan on all morning.
Yes, it's been chilly. It's been chilly this morning, and back to school, as you mentioned, for a lot of kids today that didn't go back to school last week after the holiday break. But let's take a look and see what you can see or what you will face this morning on your way out the door. Outside WIMT, no clouds, not much going on except the chill. It is 32 in Harlan, 33 right here in Hazard, the warmest spots in the region, and that's saying that kind of sparingly there, is over into the Big Sandy. 38 Prestonsburg, 37 Ashland, Logan, and Pikeville. But you go down south, 24 Monticello, 27 Middlesboro, Jacksboro, and you factor in a little bit of a wind out of the northwest, you're seeing, again, temperatures that feel a little bit colder than they actually are. So your 12-hour planner getting into the 40s today, mid to upper 40s there, a little warmer with the sunshine, but we're going to crash tonight, and it all depends on the temperature and what we see in the overnight hours. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a little bit. Madison?
Thanks, Brandon. Well, former mayor of Corbin, city commissioner and recreation director Amos Miller died on Thursday at the age of 78. For more than 2 decades, he dedicated his work to help those who needed it most. WYMT's Lacey Roberts spoke with folks who hope his memory stays alive in the community.
A coach to many, a mentor to some.
I'm gonna miss him. I called him Daddy A. That was my nickname for him.
Even a father figure to a few.
You knew if you was around him, you was going to get the right thing.
Amos Miller wore many hats, but never forgot his family.
He loved us different, but he always made sure that he was a daddy to us.
In 1998, he was appointed city commissioner. 6 years later, he would take over as mayor of Corbin, where his heart for children only grew bigger.
He would help kids. A lot of people don't know Amos did a lot of things for kids and never he didn't want the notoriety.
Miller built the Recreation Center, Rotary Park, and Miller Park, giving Corbin a quality of life.
He turned it into a softball facility. He seen that there was a need for softball fields.
Diagnosed with colon cancer in 2019, undergoing chemotherapy, Miller stayed positive until Christmas Day, holding on to tell his family not to worry. He knew where he was going.
And that's such a sweet thing to be able to, keep for the rest of our lives.
A family that prays together stays together. You may hear that saying, but Miller lived it.
Instead of using it as a cliche, you can see in his life, if you use that and actually do it, just the eternal impact that it always makes.
Always staying true to himself.
I mean, he's definitely going to be missed, but I have no doubt that he'll live on forever.
In Corbin, Lacey Roberts, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, the visitation was held last night for those to say their goodbyes. The funeral is this afternoon at the Emmanuel Baptist Church in Corbin at 1 p.m. And we now know more about the deadly crash in Perry County that happened on Saturday. Officials from Kentucky State Police say a woman was hit by a car near the IGA in Happy. She was identified as 54-year-old Kathy Spencer. Officials say she was walking along Kentucky 15 when the car hit her. She was pronounced dead at the scene, and no charges are expected to be filed in relation to the crash. And WR Castle Fire and Rescue responded to a crash Sunday morning outside the home of Assistant Chief Robert Hamilton. The crash happened on Kentucky Route 581 in Johnson County, and the assistant chief found that 2 people were injured and trapped inside the car. Officials say the car had left the roadway and struck a culvert. Crews removed both doors from the vehicle and assisted EMS in removing them both. They were transported to a local medical facilities for treatment of their injuries. And Interstate 64 in Woodford County was shut down part of Sunday after a semi-fire. According to Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, the fire happened near mile marker 58, close to the Versailles-Frankfort exit. The fire has now been knocked down and the road is back open. Officials say the truck driver pulled over when his tire blew out. There were no injuries reported in the incident. And administrators at Woodford County High School are investigating after someone wrote a racial slur on the window of a car belonging to the school's head girls basketball coach. Eric Daniels, who was a UK basketball player from 2000 to 2004, was named head coach of the Yellow Jackets back in June. He also teaches at the high school, and someone wrote the slur in moisture on his back windshield. Officials say police are already looking at video from nearby surveillance cameras to find out who is responsible for writing it. And officials from the Laurel County Sheriff's Office say deputies arrested a man early Sunday morning. Deputies say they pulled over 55-year-old Glenn Asher Stinnett. When searching his car, they found pills in a bottle with no prescription. Officials say Asher was also under the influence, and while being processed at the Sheriff's Office, deputies found a cut on Asher's finger. And after further investigation, deputies found blood and a glass pipe stuffed down in the rear seat of the police cruiser. And officials from the Laurel County Sheriff's Office also say deputies arrested a woman Friday afternoon after she shoplifted from a Dollar General. Officials say 52-year-old Angela Blevins of East Bernstadt had apparently left her cell phone at the Dollar General after stealing large amounts of makeup. Blevins returned to the store to get her cell phone, and she was there when deputies arrived. Officials say the investigation showed Blevins was also under the influence. And officials with the Floyd County Sheriff's Department are investigating a recent theft in the McDowell community. Police say a man stole a catalytic converter plus 2 surveillance cameras from a home. And WYMT's Marianne Fletcher talked with the owner of a recycling company to learn why some steal this car part.
It is not an easy theft.
He's on the property approximately an hour, and he goes straight to the vehicle.
Surveillance footage shows one man cutting a catalytic converter from a vehicle in the McDowell area of Floyd County.
He knew what he was looking for. He had brought some tools with him. It was a car jack and what appeared to be an electrical saw.
In the process, noticing 2 surveillance cameras recording every move.
He had stopped what he was doing, and he went and grabbed both the cameras off the sides of the house.
Deputy Landon Hall with the Sheriff's Department says this type of theft is becoming more common.
They are selling these actually. Could be to a scrapyard. We're still trying to locate where they are selling into.
Recycling company owner Mason McCoy says a converter like this can be sold anywhere between $50 and $300.
For example, this converter right here with this code is worth over $200.
The reason why is simple.
They steal catalytic converters for the precious metals, mostly platinum, palladium, and rhodium.
And the price depends on 2 factors.
It just depends on the make and model of the vehicle, emissions regulations that were placed on the vehicle.
But even if a thief can get past a vehicle owner, they may not make it very far with the scrapyard staff.
We're required to take their ID and information, plus with camera information,
while working with the police to stop thieves like this in the future. In Floyd County, Marianne Fletcher, WYMT Mountain News.
If you have any information on who the man in the surveillance footage may be, you can contact the Floyd County Sheriff's Department at 606-886-6711. And officials with the Horse Creek Community Fire and Rescue in Clay County are searching for 2 people. They say shortly before 2 o'clock Sunday morning, 2 people broke into the fire station. Video shows them crawling through a hole in the outer and inner walls of the building. And if you or someone you know has any information as to who the 2 people are, you're asked to contact either Clay County Dispatch or the Clay County Sheriff's Office. And a northern Kentucky man faces several charges related to several burglaries, but his mother says she does not want others to judge him because he suffers from mental illness. Cody Fisher talked to the mother and has more.
I feel so bad because I'm sorry for what he did, but that's not my son, Jason.
This is the mom of Jason Connerman. She asked us not to show her face. Her son is accused of burglarizing 4 homes and stealing a truck from one of the homes. A homeowner eventually held him at gunpoint until deputies arrived and arrested him.
He's not that hardened criminal. His mind is not there.
Connerman's mom showed me paperwork she says is from a recent hospital stay her son had at Eastern State Hospital.
Right here it says schizophrenic, chronic.
She says her son was originally diagnosed with schizophrenia when he was 21 and has struggled with the mental illness ever since. According to her, Connerman is still out of it behind bars.
Jason doesn't even understand why he is in jail.
One of her biggest fears is that the legal system will end up
locking him away in some prison and he'll never get the help. That's not fair.
Now, a homeowner of one of the burglarized houses stopped Connerman, and investigators say that homeowner held him at gunpoint until deputies arrived.
Chilly temperatures on this Monday as we head into the first full week of January in 2020. Let's take a look at the temperatures map this morning, and you'll see anything from the mid-20s to the upper 30s across the region. 24 Monticello, 38 Prestonsburg. That's our range this morning. A lot of upper 20s and low 30s floating around. Some winds starting to shift now from the north to the west this morning, and they'll continue to crank throughout the day, bringing in a system, a quick-hitting system that will affect us by late tonight going into tomorrow morning, which could bring us some winter mix today, though, on the Emoji Cast. Sunny skies, back to sunshine on Wednesday, even maybe some sunshine late tomorrow, but it all depends on how quickly we get that out of here. The headlines again: sunny day today, winter mix possible tonight going into tomorrow, and we could see some light accumulations. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but a mid-week break before we see some heavy rain heading toward the weekend. Madison?
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Thousands of people are forced to leave their homes in Australian coastal towns as brush fires continue to rage. And a deadly crash involving a passenger bus and multiple other vehicles on the Pennsylvania Turnpike left at least 5 dead and dozens injured.